Ivor Johnson Enforcer Pistol. Good Guys Wear Black, 1978 moves Chuck Norris from supporting martial arts roles into the center of an American action framework. The story follows Major John T. Booker, a former CIA commando whose team was burned by political maneuvering in Vietnam and who later faces a campaign to eliminate surviving members. The film mixes espionage with close-range fights and gives Booker a toolkit that communicates improvisation and non-standard problem-solving rather than conventional issue gear. The Ivor Johnson Enforcer appears in the Vietnam sequence as a pistol-format adaptation of the M1 carbine concept. Chambered in .30 carbine, the Enforcer deletes the stock, shortens the barrel, and anchors the assembly with a substantial pistol grip, turning a light carbine into a large-format handgun. It retains the cartridge's flat shooting within practical pistol distances while presenting a compact profile that fits confined spaces. The visual language is clear, not a sidearm in the traditional sense, but a cut-down carbine that trades shoulder support for maneuverability. Booker is shown carrying and inspecting the Enforcer among his men, and the choice supports the character's role as a team lead who favors unconventional solutions. On screen, the .30 carbine chambering registers as greater authority than a standard handgun while keeping the weapon manageable for rapid movement through cover. The prop reads as a specialist's pick, credible as a field expedient for close work, and distinctive enough to mark the character as someone who operates outside templates. The film's handling keeps the sequences grounded in short-range usage, where a pistolized carbine makes cinematic sense. High Standard Model 10B. An Eye for an Eye, 1981, places Norris as Sean Kane, a San Francisco narcotics detective forced off the force after his partner is killed in a setup. The narrative trades jungle inserts for alleyways, warehouses, and interiors, but it keeps the through line of a single operator pressing an investigation against layered criminal control. The pacing alternates methodical legwork with brief spikes of violence. The High Standard Model 10M fits that environment. Designed in the late 1960s as a compact law enforcement shotgun, the 12-gauge, semi-automatic bullpup consolidates barrel and action into an overall length around 26 inches. The pattern seen in the film includes a pistol grip, flashlight mount, and removable carry handle. Attempts to make a patrol shotgun both maneuverable and self-contained for low-light duty. The short package, combined with semi-auto cycling, gives a visual and practical profile suitable for tight interiors and rapid follow-up shots. Kane strips the 10B from a henchman in the climax and immediately puts it to work, clearing attackers with fast single and paired shots until the tube runs dry. The sequence sells the strengths the model promised to police buyers: compact handling through doorways, the ability to keep the muzzle level while moving, and quick shot-to-shot cadence without the interruption of a pump stroke. The film does not treat the 10B as ubiquitous issue. It functions as opportunistic firepower that an experienced investigator can press into service the moment circumstances turn from pursuit to direct engagement. M60. Missing in Action, 1984. Defines Colonel James Braddock as a former POW who re-enters Southeast Asia to prove Americans remain captive and to bring them out under fire. The film moves from Bangkok into riverine and road-bound ambushes, with Braddock working alongside a pilot and confronting a local command structure that profits from the prisoners. Whatever the critical reception, the imagery of a single operator applying heavy weapons to small unit problems became durable. The M60 general-purpose machine gun is the film's central firearm. Chambered in 7.62 by 51 mm NATO and fed by disintegrating M13 belts. The gun operates from an open bolt and cycles in the mid-hundreds of rounds per minute. Those traits, combined with its size and sling carry, make it credible both on a pintle mount and from improvised ground positions. In visual terms, the cadence is deliberate enough to register controlled bursts rather than the smear of very high-rate guns. Braddock is shown with the M60 in several contexts, clamped to a fast boat, fired from cover in a convoy interception, and carried up from river water in the film's signature shot. The weapon's mass and belt feed help sell the idea that a lone rescuer can dominate a short fight long enough to break contact or move prisoners. The movie uses the machine gun as a flexible tool in a setting where backup is thin, and the handling reflects practical habits, belt management, frame-filling recoil, and bursts that chew through light vehicles and positions without straying into fantasy ballistics. B300. The Delta Force 1986 draws on a real hijacking case to stage a composite counter-terror operation led by Lee Marvin and Chuck Norris as senior figures in an elite U.S. unit. Norris's Major Scott McCoy is introduced as a principled professional who had withdrawn after a failed mission and returns when a new crisis demands a coordinated, multi-site response. The set pieces move from aircraft to urban fighting to vehicle raids. The B300 appears here as an Israeli shoulder-fired anti-armor and bunker reduction system from the late 1970s, recognized as a predecessor to the USSMAW family. The launcher accepts different warheads for specific targets and operates effectively to a few hundred meters. The tube and sighting package are sized for infantry carriage, and the profile straight cylinder with optional flared bazooka-style muzzle device makes it distinctive on screen. McCoy and his teammate Bobby employ the launcher during the finale to remove a key militant figure and collapse a hardened position, with production tape obscuring Israeli markings. The use is straightforward: acquire, fire, reposition. The prop choice signals commando access to contemporary expeditionary tools, without turning the scene into pure spectacle. It also bridges the character's unarmed combat reputation with heavy ordnance, presenting him as a generalist who can select and run weapons appropriate to a particular target, whether a door charge or an anti-structure rocket. M16. Delta Force 2, The Colombian Connection, 1990, keeps Norris as Scott McCoy, this time moving against a cartel leader in a fictional South American state. The story compresses to jungle compounds and a climactic extraction, with political limits constraining overt support. The tone shifts from multinational counter-terror cues to a narrowed pursuit in rough terrain. McCoy's principal rifle in the back half of the operation is not issued at insertion. He takes an M16 from a slain guard during the village action and uses it as his primary weapon. The appropriation plays into the sequel's stripped-down logic. Rather than arrive with a showcase of specialized kit, the protagonist fights with what the opposition has and applies it with doctrinal economy. The camera notes continuity of carry and deployment more than accessory detail. The way the rifle is used aligns with the setting. It is the flexible infantry carbine for movement through foliage and low-rise structures, serving for single shots, controlled pairs, and short automatic strings where appropriate. One rooftop moment in the film shows a guard's slung rifle cut away between shots, but later scenes make clear that McCoy indeed retains an enemy M16. The effect is functional: a conventional 5.56 by 45 platform in competent hands suits a pursuit that depends on speed, navigability, and immediate ammunition availability. Smith & Wesson 5906. The Hitman 1991 puts Norris into undercover crime work as Seattle detective Cliff Garrett, who survives betrayal and operates under a new identity inside the competing organizations he intends to neutralize. The environment is darker and closer than the military settings of earlier films, with tighter interiors and a focus on short, decisive exchanges. The Smith & Wesson 5906 fits both the time and the role. It is a third-generation, stainless steel, double-action, a single-action, 9x19mm pistol with a 4-inch barrel and a double-stack magazine. Many agencies adopted this family at the turn of the 1990s for durability and capacity. In visual terms, The pistol's full-weight frame and brushed finish present as utilitarian equipment rather than a flashy prop. The control layout encourages safe holster-to-presentation cycles in sequences that involve sudden reveals and close distance. Garrett carries the 5.9-6 as his consistent sidearm. It appears in apartment doorways, parking structures, and conversational standoffs that turn lethal without warning. The film leans on the platform's predictability, a familiar operating system that supports double-action first shots and swift transitions to single-action control. It is a police-era choice that suits a character who needs a reliable, service-grade handgun to survive overlapping criminal spheres where a quick draw and accurate pairs often decide outcomes. Mossberg 500 Cruiser. Top Dog 1995 pairs Norris's lieutenant, Jake Wilder, with a K-9 partner to unravel a domestic terror plot in San Diego. The tone is closer to a police procedural stitched to a family-safe buddy cop frame, but the finale compresses into a downtown gunfight where crowd protection and rapid neutralization take priority. Wilder retrieves a Mossberg 500 Cruiser for that sequence. This is a pistol grip, pump-action 12-gauge configuration with a short barrel, often around 18.5 inches, and a capacity in the mid-single digits with 2 3/4-inch shells. The pattern seen on screen includes a heat shield and a side saddle shell carrier. The model family's tang safety and twin action bars help with positive operation under stress, and the compact furniture supports movement around vehicles and street furniture, where a buttstock might snag. The choreography shows the platform used as intended. Wilder works from behind a car, cycles deliberate shots at handgun ranges, and tops off from the side saddle between bursts. The heat shield has a practical and visual function. It permits the support hand to ride the barrel area during rapid strings without risk of burns and signals sustained use to the audience. The result is a conventional pump running conventional tactics cover, pieing, and load management rather than novelty. The choice grounds the finale in a familiar law enforcement tool scaled for close-quarters interdiction. Uzi pistols. Invasion, Yahessa 1985, casts Norris as Matt Hunter, a retired CIA operator who returns to counter a Soviet-backed guerrilla campaign in Florida. The film escalates from neighborhood attacks to shopping mall firefights and rolling street engagements. The protagonist works outside formal command and conducts ambushes and chases that depend on immediate mobility. Hunter's signature pairing in this film is a set of Uzi pistols carried in a custom DeSantis shoulder rig. These are the civilian pistol versions of the micro Uzi pattern in 9x19mm, typically around 3 pounds each and fed by magazines in the 20 to 25 round range. For film work, they were often converted to select fire, yielding cyclic rates that easily clear 1,000 rounds per minute. The compact, stockless configuration fits the close-quarters settings and enables fast presentation from concealment. The dual pistol usage becomes the movie's defining image. Hunter brings both guns into hallways, vehicles, and storefronts, saturating short lanes with automatic fire while moving. The shoulder rig explains quick, symmetrical access. The short barrels explain the confinement to inside distances. This is a case where the platform's cinematic value, high rate of fire, clear muzzle signature, and immediate reload options aligns with a character who resolves fights before the opposition can organize a defense. The scenes codify Canon-era machine pistol aesthetics without claiming battlefield roles beyond the film's urban engagements. Heckler & Koch G3A4 with modified ANM5 pyrotechnic discharger. Braddock missing in Action 3. 1988 returns the colonel to Vietnam after news that his wife and son survived. The mission expands from a personal recovery into a broader extraction that collides with a local commander's forces and the institutional cruelty that sustains them. The plot keeps the emphasis on movement through jungle and encampments while raising the stakes with the presence of family and civilians. The rifle selected for Braddock here is a Heckler & Koch G3A4, a roller delayed, select fire 7.62 by 51 mm NATO platform with a collapsible stock. The film presents it with what the production treats as standard 30-round magazines. Beneath the handguard sits a modified ANM-5 pyrotechnic discharger, originally a 37 mm flare launcher reworked into a 6-shot revolving cylinder. The hybrid creates a combined rifle and multi-shot launcher in one assembly and adds an auto-telescoping bayonet to the already layered package. On screen, Braddock uses the system to collapse towers and strongpoints and then immediately returns to rifle fire. The launcher's revolving cylinder suggests rapid sequential shots in a way single-shot underbarrels cannot, and the full-power rifle above maintains reach and barrier penetration for targets that need a conventional solution. The build reflects 1980s prop logic, amplify the one-man assault image with an all-in-one rig. The result is memorable cinema hardware that still tracks to plausible handling balance shifts, reloads that pause the pace, and the need to manage two distinct sighting tasks with a single grip. Heckler & Koch G36C. The Expendables 2, 2012 assembles a cast of veteran action movie actors and places them in a chase that begins at a wrecked Soviet base and finishes with an airport battle. The inciting action is an ambush where the team is trapped, out of ammunition, and facing armor. Chuck Norris arrives as Booker, the lone wolf, and reverses the engagement in a brief intervention that is played as a wink to the audience. Booker carries the H&K G36C, the compact derivative of the G36 line. The C variant shortens barrel and gas system beyond the K model, moves the gas block toward the muzzle, and trims the handguard and folding stock to minimize profile. It employs a polymer receiver, a short-stroke gas piston, ambidextrous controls, and translucent 5.56 by 45 mm magazines that can be clipped together for rapid swaps. The film's build uses low rail-mounted sights rather than the tall carry-handle optics and keeps furniture minimal to preserve a snag-free outline. The weapon is run like a point-man carbine. Booker fires short strings, transitions across multiple threats, and executes quick magazine changes using coupled magazines. The compact gas system and piston make the gun believable under sustained blank fire and, by extension, hard live fire schedules. The folding stock supports vehicle and corner work without compromising stability when opened. In the airport sequence, he continues with the same carbine, acting as a rover who fills gaps and covers angles while the rest of the team closes on the antagonist. The compact package and efficient handling make the G36C an apt choice for a cameo tied to a self-reliant persona. That concludes this field guide to the guns lucky enough to be chosen by Chuck, because we all know he doesn't need firearms. The firearms need him. Thank you for watching and for the steady support. It helps our team going. If there's a subject you want covered next, drop it in the comments and we'll make sure it'll go on the list.